Hello, everyone. This is Whitney Will from Starhearth Astrology, and I'm here today, Wednesday, March 23rd, for your midweek astrology check-in. So thank you, everyone, for all of your really nice comments and reaching out when announcing my pregnancy today. So that was really heartwarming, and I feel very supported. So thanks for being here. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the week ahead and the transits. I do this to kind of normalize what's going on, to ground you in the knowledge that, sometimes what we're going through is temporary. Sometimes we're feeling what's going on in the collective, and kind of try and integrate astrology into a living practice that helps us organize and understand our lives. So we are coming off of yesterday's Mars-Uranus square. And I know that Mars-Uranus square was making me feel super irritable. More like the feeling that we get with Uranus is that we want to make a break for it. That we're just like, this is too much Saturn, right? This is really cramping my style, and I need to change it up. And so hopefully now that aspect completed yesterday, those feelings are going to ease up a little bit, right? Now that both Mars and Venus have squared Uranus, they move into a conjunction with Saturn. So we're not quite out of the grind, although we'll see Venus complete that in the next week. So it should, the feeling of pressure that we're putting on ourselves and all the things that we need to do in order to have our desires kind of work and come into being, that all ramps up until when it completes on Monday, the 28th, and then should relax a little bit. Okay, what we're dealing with today is Mercury conjoin Neptune. And so Mercury comes into its annual conjunction with Neptune in Pisces, and this can feel a little bit, sometimes Mercury in Pisces can feel a little bit Mercury retrograde anyway, because it's a little bit hard to keep track of details and figure out what's going on. We're just on a different wavelength. And so this can be really the height of that when we've got Mercury conjunct Neptune, and Mercury, right, wants to sort things, wants to analyze, wants to kind of gather all these pieces and understand them. And Neptune is like, soften your gaze, we're going to blur this. Neptune is doing the opposite of that. It's kind of the opposite process. So it can feel like things come into focus and move out of focus, and we can have some kind of mysterious things come up. For instance, my intranet went down randomly. It was a regional outage in the middle of, my work from home teletherapy. Right. And so it was just a kind of Neptunian poof. And that disallowed me to communicate with everybody that I had been on a video call with, right, about what had happened. And so, there's like Mercury hits Neptune and like, whew, okay, we're gone. But those interruptions, if we can allow them and we can just accept them as gifts, right, they create spaciousness. So I had a very packed day planned, and what that interruption allowed me to do is sit down and eat lunch while I was trying to figure things out. And so, trying to just move with it. With Mercury, Neptune, things are going to take the time that they take. And we're not really going to be able to push the river or figure it out too much. So that's really the big one. And so this is an interesting week. And sometimes you'll notice this if you're paying attention to your own astrology. It's not a huge week for astrology in general. In my chart gets lit up this week because I have a bunch of aspects perfecting, like Saturn opposite my Venus and Neptune opposite my moon, which are big outer planet transits to personal things, right? I'm really going to feel those. I am feeling those. And so, so that's just an example of how sometimes, our charts are going to come more alive than necessarily the transits happening in the collective. So really that Mercury-Neptune conjunction that happens today is the most kind of pronounced transit through the end of the week. On Sunday, we will have Mercury enter Aries. And so, right, the transition from Pisces to Aries is such a potent boundary crossing, right? Because you go from this kind of numinous psychedelic soup of Pisces, where you're accepting intuition, right, to very action-oriented Aries. Okay, we are going to wring out that soggy towel and we are going to start the sprint, right? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? And with Mercury, right, it's cerebral. And so that just, it changes our thinking from being more experience, observation, absorbing into action oriented, right? Aries ruled by Mars, action, decisions. Mercury is moving very fast at this point, right? It's about in its middle section between retrogrades. It's going to turn retrograde at the end of April in Gemini, actually, and retrograde back into Taurus. So it's going to move very quickly through Aries, which feels very fitting. So we get that kind of change in the way that we're thinking about things, but we still got the ruler of Aries, Mars, in Aquarius approaching a conjunction with Saturn. So not quite able to move at that Aries speed, right? Trying to gain perspective, work smarter, not faster with Aries. Then on Monday, we get such a significant transit. We have Venus conjunct Saturn. Why is this so significant, right? This is going to happen at least once a year, every single year. Well, this year it is so important because November 5th, Venus went into Capricorn, stationed retrograde in December, stationed direct in January, moved through the rest of Capricorn, now is in Aquarius. So Venus has been in Saturn signs for the past 5 months. And even though Venus is no longer in Capricorn, the sign of the retrograde, she's in between a conjunction with Mars and a conjunction with Saturn. And when we've got a benefic like that in between two malefics, it's called a besiegement or an enclosure. And right, she's still not able to be fully Venusian. And so when she completes this conjunction with Saturn, then she is out of that enclosure by malefics. And so we get a little bit more Venus, and she's towards the end of Aquarius. By April 5th, she goes into Pisces, and the transition between Venus being constrained by Saturn and Venus into Pisces with Jupiter in the sign of her exaltation, right, should be quite pronounced, should give you all of that juiciness back. We should start feeling that again. I'm really excited for the astrology of April. Venus conjunction with Saturn is really, really great for clarifying what your priorities are, right? When we have constrictions around, my goodness, there's like a dog fight going on outside my window. When we have Venus conjoining Saturn, we feel the restriction and the limitation around the things that we desire and the things that we value. But that also allows us to clarify, right? We can't have everything we want. So what are the things that we really want? What are we going to commit to? And Venus and Saturn combinations, they make commitments that last, they prioritize the things that they desire, right? It's a really grounding aspect for Mercury and Aries now that is moving much faster. Finally, next Wednesday, which will be, so a week from today, right before a new moon in Aries, right, in the dark balsamic moon, we will have Venus square the North Node. And I think that this is important because she's moving towards the North Node and she's the ruler of the North Node. So I think we get Venus she moves into more maybe lightness. She's, right, if she's getting closer to the North Node, we are starting to kind of feel desire in a more earthly way. We're less wrapped up in the stories of the past. She's at the bending of the nodes, moving towards the North Node, which is going to feel like gathering in new stuff. And then we'll have a new moon on Thursday, the 31st in Aries, and that will start us out on a very, very different month of astrology. So I hope this is helpful for you. I hope you have a good week. Thanks, everyone. I'm still taking registrations for my Practice Astrology Together group, where we talk about these transits, but we put them into our charts and we talk about what's happening. We reflect on how these transits have been affecting us. So it's a really interactive way to build your knowledge of astrology and make new friends. And we would love to have some new faces there. So feel free to reach out with questions, or you can find more information and sign up on my website. The sign up is a little bit confusing because the description is in my events page, but you actually sign up through the readings page. And so that has been confusing people, but there you have it. Okay, have a good week. Thanks, everyone.